at the outset, I do acknowledge we receive research grant support from Alcon Laboratories, but has no relevance to this presentation. So this is a 17-year-old male, a history of trauma with a wire while playing in the fields before 1 month. And he's been referred to us for cataract surgery. If you look, this is photo slit. If you notice here, there's a large split in the anterior capsule. The lens matter is already in the anterior chamber. So if there is the moment you see white cataract just a few days later of a trauma, it has to be 100% a split in the anterior capsule. Otherwise, it doesn't become fluid so quickly in 10-15 days. And if you notice, this is probably the sealed entry wound. The iris has got a synechia along the area of the split capsule. If possible, particularly in older children, you must try and pre-operatively assess as much as you can. So pre-operatively, we wanted to know if there is already a pre-existing posterior capsule defect or already lens matter that is spilled on, like in the anterior chamber, towards the posterior chamber, so that we can plan a better surgical strategy and be prepared for. See, fortunately, we found that the posterior capsule was intact all through. That was one relief when we started off. It's important that you stain all of these patients, and it's also important that we create some sort of semblance of a capsular excess in the area of the capsule. So this entire area is the split, and we create an opening to create at least some sort of strength in the remaining half of the anterior capsule. Having done that, most of these cataracts are soft liquid in young individuals, so irrigation aspiration alone is enough, and phacoemulsification is hardly needed. It's important once again to use low. Notice we are using a very low bottle height, and even while changing hands, you'll see that we inject dispersed viscoelastic to make sure that the chamber doesn't shallow. So having done the cataract, is how we go ahead IOL implantation. Now this is a intact posterior cap. So you have a half open bag with synechia to the iris in the rest of the simplest and straightforward option would be just go ahead with a single piece IOL in the bag, since at least half of the bag is intact. Second is that the single piece may come out from the open half of the bag. Single piece IOLs can be lethal if they end up in the sulcus. So go ahead with a 3-piece IOL in the bag or sulcus. But like all of us have seen that over a period of time, most of these patients do very bad as far as the post-operative inflammation, their stability. Many of them get a pupillary capture in the anterior plane, so on and so forth. So is there something else that we can think of without causing too much disturbance to the other anatomical structures? And having experience with pediatric cataract surgery in optic capture, we find the concept of creating a posterior capsulorhexis, even in a case of an intact posterior capsule, it helps us to posteriorly optic capture the IOL through the posterior capsulorhexis. So you will need special microincision rhexis forceps, good cohesive viscoelastics, and slowly but surely keep changing your hands from one side to the other to achieve perfect ergonomical comfort. And you should be able to achieve a reasonable size posterior capsulorhexis. So now you have an half open anterior capsule, a nice posterior capsulorhexis, and therefore now you can go ahead and consider placing a 3-piece IOL, planning a capture. It's important that you don't keep this anterior capsule too small, because if you keep it too small, it can again obscure the visual axis. So initially, because of the intumescence, we had kept a very small anterior capsulorhexis, which we are now enlarging to make a larger size. And having done that, we realized that our posterior capsulorhexis is also quite small. So you can actually, if you pay attention and use your focusing of the foot pedal well, you can achieve such outcomes without causing vitreous disturbance in more cases than none. Of course, you will from time to time encounter vitreous disturbance during doing a posterior capsulorhexis. Now go ahead with the 3-piece IOL insertion. Notice here the technique that we are using here is a holding folding technique and not the injector technique, because 3-piece IOLs through the injector are sometimes quite unpredictable. So you may need a larger incision. Don't be, stingy a slightly larger incision. This is not the case where you are worried about your surgically induced astigmatism. You want a safe delivery of the IOL. So first you make the IOL goes inside the capsular bag. And once that is done, notice how we are pushing this optic through the posterior capsular axis margin behind. So that is a posterior buttonholing of the optic through the posterior capsular axis, so that the haptics will remain in the bag. We can understand this side of the haptic will not completely stay in the bag. It will be part bag, part circle, because the open capsule is stuck with synechia to this part of the iris. But major part of the optic will be far away behind the iris. That will reduce the contact with the iris and inflammation and everything. It's always important to make sure that you assess there is no vitreous disturbance even at the end of surgery, and there is no better way to do it than preservative-free triamcinolone. Don't rely on pilocarpine and such situations in such a frail and traumatized iris. And this is what the patient looks at the end of surgery. So I want to highlight this concept of optic capture of IOL, even in these special cases of traumatic cataract. It helps in making sure that the lens stays in superiority, of course, but more importantly, in such cases, it remains as far away from the iris and other damaged structures due to trauma, leading to lesser chances of post-operative IOL-related irritation. And notice this in the bag IOL, where there is always a little bit of space, particularly in half-open bags, where the IOL can keep moving and change from what you end up intraoperatively at the end of surgery, versus once you have locked this IOL or captured this IOL behind the posterior capsular axis. The position of the IOL is not going to change anytime with that. And this is the patient post-operatively 4 months down the line. And notice this, this dumbbell shape means that the optic is behind this posterior capsular axis. This is the half open anterior capsular axis. And the optic capture also in some ways helps to prevent the PCO from occurring, because the open area of the posterior capsule is covered by the optic now. Another case of a similar nature, 16-year-old boy, firecracker injury before 2 weeks. He also has severe corneal abrasion with stromal scarring and presented to us with hand movement vision. And notice here again the area of open capsule, synechia to the lens, this is the fibrosed open capsule margin that has occurred. This is not because of lack of methylcellulose or fluid on the cornea. The cornea was really bad and abrated in the immediate post-operative period. It's important to stain some of these capsules because you get a fairly idea as to the rest of the capsule where you're trying to create a strong capsular rexis margin. Microincision rexis forceps and rexis scissors. If you don't have from your retina, that will help to control the rest of the nerves, and some of these plaques need to be cut. The admin, mute rest of everyone, please. Thank you. Like we saw in the previous case, the lens matter is usually quite fluid and irrigation aspiration alone works. And again, we have a similar situation. If you notice, this is the anterior capsular rexis margin, rest of it is open with synechia here. And we have an intact posterior capsule, fortunately, even in this case. So again, we go ahead with our plan of posterior capsular rexis and create a puncture in the posterior capsule opening. Another important trick to try and prevent vitreous prolapse is to inject a little bit of cohesive viscoelastic behind the puncture that you have created. That will create a space between the posterior capsule tear and the anterior vitreous phase, which is usually solid in these areas. So look, I'm going behind the puncture created and injecting cohesive viscoelastic, which will create that space that will help the vitreous from lesser chances of vitreous prolapse. And slowly but surely, we were able to again convert this into a strong posterior capsular rexis margin all along. Again, do not be stingy with your incision. This is almost a 4.5 millimeter incision with 3.2 knife. We go ahead with 3-piece IOL in the sulcus, haptics in the bag, as much of the bag that exists as of now. And then make sure once they are in the sulcus or in the bag, you capture it. If you can notice here the margins. And because this was a very traumatized iris, we also decided to do a partial pupilloplasty to have some semblance of a pupil. And acknowledgements to Dr. Amar Agrawal and Dr. Priya Narang for this wonderful technique of single pass 4 through pupilloplasty, which has made pupilloplasty very simple for most surgeons. In the end, of course, confirm with triamcinolone that there is no vitreous disturbance occurring. And this is the patient again at 3 months, very quiet eye. The best part about this approach is patients are very quiet in the anterior and posterior segment inflammation post-operatively for months together, and the cornea has also almost cleared. There is still some amount of anterior stromal scarring, but most of the cornea has cleared and the eye is very quiet. So I think an optic capture is a viable option to be kept in mind in the surgical armamentarium of all cataract surgeons, particularly in such special situations of traumatic cataracts, where the chances of post-operative inflammation, chances of post-operative outcomes being bad due to IOL issues are quite high. There will be, of course, situations in trauma which go very unpredictably. You may have, like this anterior capsule split, you may have a very large posterior capsular split, which may not be able to be converted into a posterior capsular excess. So you may need other strategies as well. And you may need to keep a vitreoretinal backup as well in your team in such situations if there is a drop, so on and so forth. So